Before we get started, let's explain a few things about these videos. This series is meant to explain to non-shippers of different couples why there's a community for this in the first place. In fact, an alternate title I had going for a while was Explaining the Blank Ship, but the appeal of actually sounds like more of an explanation of people's opinions and less of a statement of facts. This isn't about proving that a ship is or isn't canon. This isn't about making a checklist of what allows a ship to be shippable and working through it. This is just pure, raw opinions and the explanation thereof. I chose to do GoChi first because it seems to be the most misunderstood ship even within its own community. So without further delay, let's fly because the Nimbus cloud awaits into a fantastic journey of shipping.
If I could begin to be half of what you think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you.
What is true love? Surely a harder question has never been asked. Countless of artists, from poets to musicians to animators and all in between, have tried to romanticize and answer this daunting question. Today I hope to explain mine and others' answers to this question in an attempt to explain why the notion of true love is what drives the Goku x Chichi fandom. To me, true love has never been something of a magic zing. Honestly, Steven Universe said it best. Love takes time and love takes work. It's not some mystic spirit that flows through us. To me, soulmates don't exist, or at least the idea of there being the one person for each and every single one of us doesn't exist. True love is something that forms over time. True love is something that takes stubborn willpower and care to flourish and live. This is why so many people who marry with Romeo and Juliet-esque ideas of love end up getting divorced. They feel the love has left them when really it was the infatuation that left them. With infatuation comes the grandiose romantic gestures, the late nights of feeling miserable of not being able to cuddle or have sex with the one you imagine. This infatuation is biology. It's basic biology, and this infatuation is what we often imagine as love, especially in our media. This is what we refer to as a couple having chemistry. When both sides feel this infatuation, outsiders can see it and can root for the couple to live. But as my mother has taught to me ever since I was a young girl, you never know who is going to make it and who isn't. My parents' family and friends were certain that they would never work out in the end, but yet here I stand, the youngest of three at 22 years old, going on 23, having never once feared for my parents' relationship, even with all my friends' families falling apart. I'm very lucky. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, all of them experienced true love in a way that I can only dream of reaching until the day I get married and get to experience the struggle for myself. I yearn for that ache, for the troublesome work of keeping a relationship together through arguments about finances and the kids. Those fights are where I see true love shine. It's not about the cute moments that make us young girls squee with happiness. It's not about seeing the characters blush around one another. It's not about who has more romantic gestures in the material. True, honest, mature love is about holding together through years and years and years of being alone with only each other as company. True love is not represented better than Goku and Chichi simply living with one another and arguing about Gohan's future. It's not about how not flashy the proposal was, it's about how they managed to marry without hardly knowing one another and live happily enough with each other that even with Goku being dead for 7 years, Chichi shed a tear at seeing him again. It's about how they worked together to live together in a way that keeps them both happy even with each upsetting moment and argument. If I don't see a couple fighting, I question whether or not they truly love one another. If you don't love your partner enough to be honest about your feelings to the point of starting an argument, then where is that extra energy going? Are you being resentful? Are you holding it all in because you're terrified of what your partner would think of you after an argument? What kind of love is living in fear? My sister and her husband once joked about getting a divorce after having a small disagreement right in front of me. Why is that significant to me? Because it shows their confidence in one another. It shows that both know that the other doesn't really want a divorce. They know each other well enough that they can talk about divorce without fear. They love each other enough to know that disagreements, arguments, full-on fights, none of it matters because they will never divorce. That's true love to me. True love is being totally open and bare without fear. The fear of fighting is what causes the worst fights and is what causes most divorces. Never be afraid of your partner to the point of not speaking your mind when they upset you, and oh yeah, they will upset you. As much as I love the cute moments where Goku spins Chichi around after waking up from his heart virus, their disagreement about whether or not Goku can train Gohan to fight the androids is my favorite moment of the couple. Why? Because they argue, she gives in to him, they compromise, they still love. Now that we've defined true love and put said definition to Goku and Chi-Chi's relationship, let's talk about the 5 different love languages. See, when people start to judge other relationships both in real life and in fiction, there comes a problem of contradicting love languages. The 5 different love languages are pretty self-explanatory. We have words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, physical touch. First, let's talk about physical touch and get it out of the way. Those of you who think kissing is mandatory for a good relationship might need to check your love language and tone it down a bit.
That's so terrible! What an awful husband who never kisses his wife, ever!
That's it. That's the only reference to Kiss Course in this video. No more, none at all, and I don't want to see it in the comments. Don't fight me on this, you will lose. However, it is possible that Chi-Chi's love language is physical touch, and that when we first see them together as a couple, she is all over Goku. The kissing line, if you want to consider that canon, could easily be interpreted as Chi-Chi just respecting that Goku's love language isn't physical touch and leaving him be. Quality time is out for Chi, because if quality time were her love language, then there would be a problem with Goku training often or sacrificing himself for years at a time. I believe Chi-Chi would have moved on in those 7 years if her love language were quality time. Same with the time between her asking Goku to marry her and when she saw him again at the tournament. In that moment of seeing him again, she wasn't angry at all until she found out he didn't know who she was. She was perfectly fine with being separated and having to find him. This is one that I see a lot of antis and fake GoChi fans having as they complain or make AUs of Chi-Chi moving on during those 7 years or even during the first year of Goku's death, or heck, Chi-Chi moving on before even marrying him and Goku ending up with Snow. This is what I mean by checking your love language differences before you judge another couple. This same one gets people in trouble in real life too, as some can handle military relationships and others can't. Then again, Goku does take his family out to picnics in the manga, and in the filler, Memories of Gohan, we see the two of them staring at each other lovingly as they go on a walk and push a stroller with little baby Gohan inside. It's possible that quality time is Goku's love language, but not Chi-Chi's. Then there's receiving gifts. Chi-Chi is shown to be making outfits for Goku, like the sweater she made him in the filler before Namek, while Goku was in the hospital. Based on that, we could say that receiving gifts is Chi-Chi's love language, but not Goku's. I think the two that are the best candidates for GoChi together are words of affirmation and acts of service. I don't feel like Goku is the type to go out of his way to compliment Chi-Chi, but at the same time, we don't really see enough of them to know for sure, so it's still a candidate. As for acts of service, I believe Goku knocking down trees for firewood and fishing to put dinner on the table is Goku's own way of showing his love for both Chi-Chi and the rest of his family. Not to mention the amount of times the guy sacrifices his life to save everyone. Well, those are all my thoughts. Figuring out someone else's love language is hard, especially when you don't get to see the couple together for yourself. So I'm gonna leave all my thoughts there and leave the rest to yourself. Happy analyzing! Hopefully I've shed some light on the differences between GoChi and what we're used to seeing in media. Hopefully, if this video gets spread around, the antis can understand us better and stop putting GoChi on their list of worst cartoon couples, and stop saying things like calling them not a real couple. They're much realer than you would imagine once you put a mature definition to true love.